In this episode, it is clear I'm not an expert using a chainsaw. There were a lot of questionable and risky things I did due to my lack of understanding. So take this video for what it's worth, and maybe more as a what not to do as I work on improving my knowledge and skills of using a chainsaw, as they are an essential tool for use on a large property such as ours. In less than a week, we were back in Goshen to continue clearing the downed trees to the build site. This was a major setback to our bunkie build, so we really needed to clear the way in as soon as possible. It was late spring, and it was beautiful as everything was growing and greening up, but there was no time, as the saying goes, to stop and smell the roses. We were now at the next section of downed trees. Besides chainsaws, we also employed loppers to help with the clearing. They work much better on a green tree as the fibers are still laden with moisture and soft, so we use them as well to help remove the many branches.
I'm almost done with this area. By bugs.
But let's not forget the small Ryobi chainsaw. Despite failing us the previous weekend, we decided to give it another chance and exchanged it for another one. There is only so much a lopper can cut diameter-wise, and that's where the 10-inch Ryobi will come in handy. We figured we just got a lemon the previous weekend, so we were thrilled this Ryobi performed as expected and it didn't disappoint. In fact, we rather quite enjoyed using it and found it extremely useful for trimming both small and large branches. Now that we had trimmed and removed all the small and medium-sized branches of the tree, it was time to bring out Ryobi's big brother, the Stihl MS-291. But first, we donned our safety gear. With that tree cleared, we headed over to the next section. Our hope was to make it to the build site so that we could cut the grass and clear the brush that was rapidly growing in, but it all depended on how difficult it would be to clear the remaining trees, as it was going to get a lot more difficult. This was the next section we had to deal with. Anita and I had already cleared a lot of the small branches, and it was time to bring out the still again. But I was starting to have problems with the chainsaw not starting up and running an idle. I found out the following week the idle had to be retuned, being a new chainsaw. But unfortunately that weekend, it just ended up being a frustrating annoyance. And that wasn't all. Due to my lack of experience in dealing with downed trees, I often got myself into a pickle by getting the bar of the chainsaw stuck. I knew there were pressures on the tree and branches, and I hadn't figured it all out as yet, so there was a lot of learning and figuring out that day. Using a thick branch as leverage, I got my chainsaw unstuck, and then back to cutting again. Trees don't often fall on their own, bringing many other small trees with it. It's often a mess, as you can see here. This is where the Ryobi shines, as it was great for cutting out all the branches and small trees. Using the chainsaw is often the fun part, but in reality it is only a small part of the time spent clearing a downed tree. You definitely spent more time clearing the debris and stacking the cut logs. I think you get the idea. Okay, we're making progress, and if you look past Anita in that green area, that is the open area that we're trying to get access to, and that is where we're going to be doing our build. However, this part is not so bad. So Anita, what's our challenges on this section?
This part's not so bad. That tree's got to come down. These have to be all cleared out, including that pine over there.
Okay, so
multiple trees there.
Okay, but they're smaller, right? So they're on the ground.
Not that one.
No?
No. Those are big ones.
Okay, but what's our bigger challenge?
Behind you.
Okay, you want to show us?
This is going to be the challenge.
So this one's posing a little bit of a hazard as well as a challenge. There's a broken tree right there. There's another broken tree over there. And there's a lot of these other trees that are holding this one up. and then there's a pretty big one right behind there as well too. So like we have to kind of play this carefully, and it's like, I guess you could say chess.
I don't know.
You gotta play, you gotta do strategic moves and not get squashed while you're doing it. So anyhow, we're gonna take some time, like looking carefully at everything before we start committing to some cuts, and hopefully everything will go okay. But yeah, we still, first of all, we got to go back there and we got to tackle the one that we were cutting over there. That's another big one that's pretty much at about chest level that we got to tackle first. I'll take you over there. See, this is the other big tree that's leaning this way. There's actually two of them, but there's one that's pretty big. If you go through here, that's that other big poplar that we're going to deal with first. But if you look back here, you can see, actually that's not a poplar. This one's might be a fir tree, but anyhow, you can see it's going this way, and it's all crisscrossed right about there. And there's 3 trees that are practically spring-loaded. They're just bending over. They haven't totally cracked. So if we start taking these things down, eventually that weight of that big one is going to collapse this whole thing. So just have to time it and be in the right place when it does fall. So here's the same tree with all the branches removed. Now it was time to cut and remove the trunk. But this is where I run into a major problem from the lack of experience and understanding of using a chainsaw. I made a few bad mistakes along the way, and in fact, knowing what I know now, Anita was correct when she stated I should have started with an undercut. This would have eliminated the problem entirely. Here you can see the trunk beginning to split, which meant the pinch point was along the bottom of the trunk. This is why my chainsaw got stuck.
Are you wedged? Are you pinched?
Yep. Can't you see? Okay, so we're going to have to push this up.
Ow. I think it would have been better if we had done a little cut underneath, right? We have to start thinking of it smarter.
Well, it was lifting up, so
Yep.
I'm going to pull it down and see if we can.
What was that?
It's
Get out of the
coming
way.
down. It's coming down. Wait, grab the chainsaw. Grab the chainsaw. And just get ready to move. No, don't pull it. Don't pull it.
No, it's not moving. Honestly. I think we have to do something different. No, it's stuck. You're gonna wreck it.
There was no way we were going to be able to pull the tree down to release the bar, so I figured I would cut the remaining section beneath the trunk with a ryobi to dislodge the still and the tree.
I don't know how I'm gonna do this.
Get ready to. That one's smart.
Fine, what'd you do?
I hit the other chain.
Thanks. No.
However, my next fail was accidentally hitting the other chainsaw, but at least the principal idea was correct.
Get out of there! You're not sinking. You're right almost on the chainsaw and we're on a knot.
You can't pull it out? No?
No, it's like It is wedged. The only thing that can get off is this thing here. We don't have another chainsaw.
I am thinking. I'm thinking if I snap this, we should be able to get it out.
No, it is wedged.
Okay, grab it.
Grab what?
The chainsaw. I'm gonna pull it down.
No. It's not moving.
Okay.
Do we have a handsaw?
Just pull it up there. Pull it up there. That's good. Okay.
But it's pinched.
I know. I'm gonna cut with the other one. Okay. Hold on. Thankfully, once we were able to move the bar of the still upward, I was able to continue the cut. This made all the difference. Perfect.
If you ever do a jackass maneuver like that again, I'm grounding you, okay? That was not smart.
Okay, what would you
We need to think more logically because this one is going to be even worse.
And yes, I deserve the chiding and admonition from Anita. She's definitely more the brains of our team.
Those guys do wedges, they do all...
In this instance, when cutting the down tree, I did have a wedge to try and stop the bar from getting pinched again. But as you'll see, it didn't work because I didn't insert it deep enough. This is why I'll be taking an axe along with me in the future so I can pound the wedge in securely. Still didn't work. And that's the biggest tree.
But it's being held up by these ones. These were under pressure.
So, once the bar was freed and we cleared the rest of the down tree, we moved on to the next section. Because of the risk, we spent a lot of time observing and discussing how to proceed. So do we cut this? We decided first to clear all the small trees and debris in the way before trying to drop the big ones. Here, can I pull this out?
You're right in the way, eh?
As we were working, we began to notice a peculiar change in the weather. Have a listen. Here's what it looked above us. Okay, so it's been a comfortable day to work, but as you can see, it's pretty windy out there. And we're all spooked, wondering if some other trees are going to come down or the ones that are partially down may continue to come down. Anyhow, I mean, we'll make a judgment call if it gets even windier. It comes and goes in gusts, so right now it's not bad, but 2 minutes ago it was all the trees are swaying. This next section was where things got dicey. There definitely was some questionable decisions and more mistakes along the way, including chiding from Anita.
Get out of there.
Under a lot of pressure.
It is under a lot of pressure. It's going to snap like dynamite. It's not a good idea.
Well, you can't leave it.
How about a rope?
Anita was correct. Her advice was definitely a better idea and safer, but we didn't have a rope with us in Goshen, so I decided to continue against her wishes.
That's not smart, you know.
But it's just this cracking. It's not doing anything to that. None of that's moving. If I cut this is going to shoot up.
And it's going to send your chainsaw flying backwards. You did it again.
Or a chain.
Yeah, that's you. You know, my idea of a rope and pulling would work.
But see, it's not going down because it's being hung up.
What happens if you take the tape, but put a rope around it and pull it this way?
It's not going to come down. It's
You don't
being
think
held.
so?
You know what it was? It was just the tension of the bend. So I'm going to cut the lower part down. That won't be a problem. And then I'll cut the other one. This time, I decided to do a small cut at the pinch point to avoid getting the chainsaw stuck again. However, I should have done this first, not after cutting part way through the other side. This is why my bar got stuck again. I need your help.
I quit. I told you to stop binding the blade.
So you're going to hold it and don't
Hold what?
hold it here. Just give it support. Okay, now I'm going to take the other chainsaw and cut it the other side.
It's like literally got the chain in it.
Just
How are
like
we
this.
supposed to get it out? This tree come down.
Huh?
This one's coming down. When you do that.
Okay, just hold on.
Like,
Okay, hit the chain.
it's actually fighting deeper now. It's not coming out.
Might break the chain.
What?
Might break the chain. Okay,
Look
hold
at what's happening. Look at where's the blade. See?
Huh?
This tree's coming down on her.
Okay, just watch hold this. There we go.
Did I ever tell you you're not very swift in the upper deck?
Huh?
How many times have I told you that you're not smart?
Well, we did it. It was a little risque.
A little risque. This was a brand new chainsaw. Look what you've done to her.
I know. Well, it's meant to be used, right? See, now it's taking all the pressure. If we leave that, I bet you it might even break.
Okay, let's call it a day because it's already breaking. You can hear it.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, if it doesn't, we're gonna put a rope there and we're gonna yank it.
You know what I would do? I'm gonna just nick it and come out. I'm not gonna cut it through. I'm just gonna nick it and just walk out to weaken it.
No, because you're gonna bind the chainsaw.
No, I'm not gonna cut it through. I'm just gonna give it a little bit of weakness.
It has a lot of weakness. It's carrying the whole weight of the tree now. You're not touching this chainsaw. You're done. You're done. Fired. See, it's gonna come down on its own. It's already cracking. If it doesn't crack by tomorrow, we're going to rope it and pull it. Come back tomorrow and it'll be down. And it's moving.
Yeah. Oh, it might be coming. Oh yeah, it's coming. Oh yeah. We don't have to wait.
Oh, don't speak too soon.
Now it stopped.
Yeah. We spoke too soon.
We might have to give it a love tap.
Tomorrow.
You know the problem is, it's right on it. Now it's almost vertical. That because
It's not
what's
moving.
bending is the top part, right? But now it's almost vertical. That part won't bend. Now it's sitting right on top of it. That's the problem now. See? Because it's sitting right on top of it. This bent, right? Now it's not going to fall anymore. Like if it weakens, maybe, but it's now like practically perpendicular.
You're not love tapping it with a spill.
You know what I can get Lucas's long saw to
Yes.
do that.
Yes, you could do that. Much better idea.
As it was late in the
Okay.
day, Anita left to feed and walk the dogs, so I continued bucking the down trees and stacking them.
Not down by
think it's about to collapse. So I gave it a few little notches there, and as I predicted, it landed right on top of the stump. So of course it's not going to bend anymore, but it is still leaning on this horizontal piece. So I cut a little wedge out of there to weaken it, and hopefully if that collapses, it'll either fall on the back side or maybe it'll roll on the front side, but more likely on the back side. Anyhow, I was just kind of waiting for it to collapse. In the meantime, I'm cutting some more wood over there, but every once in a while I run over here and take a little notch at the tree and see if I can make it fall faster. I might come back here and just cut underneath here and see if I can make it collapse. Here's where I ran into my next problem. Thinking more about compression areas where I'm cutting in order to avoid getting the bar stuck again, I started cutting out small wedges as I was doing when I got the branch to collapse. However, this time when trying to cut out the vertical stump where the tree was now resting on, I was hoping to do the same, but it was hard to determine where the pinch point was. So when I cut the other side, it immediately grabbed the edge of the bar. I was in a pretty bad predicament as I had no one to help, especially holding the chainsaw, but I was extremely lucky, as you'll soon see, as the weight of the tree was not fully on the stump. That was close. Not the smartest move. Oh, it's coming. So at this point, I think it's come off this stump. Of course, it's off this stump. You just saw this. And it's now being held by branches further to the crown of the tree. and it's probably not going to keep, it's not going to come down. If it does, it might come overnight, but most likely it's going to be stuck like that. So I think tomorrow we'll start limbing all these branches and start making our way up, and then look for all the supporting ones below and maybe try to start notching a few of them until it collapses. But at least it's down at a respectable height that'll be a little bit more manageable. It was pretty gnarly and it's scary at times, but whew, we made it. Well, we're not totally finished yet. I had enough of the risky stuff and getting the bar stuck for one day, so I ended it by cleaning up and stacking the large bucked rounds. It was a good day. We cleared our biggest hurdle, and the end was in sight. We had one day left to clear the rest of the way to the build site, but at least the remaining down trees didn't pose the same risks and challenges. Of course, I also had to give Anita a full accounting of the final events of the day. At least it was good news. Yep. It was the final day, and we were back in the morning cutting and removing all the branches from the big tree, being mindful of ones that were still supporting the tree. Okay, we've made a lot of progress this morning, and we pretty much, you see behind me, we cleared up this log. We took the ones below it, we cleaned all the limbs off it. Now we've got to tackle removing this trunk out. So we just got to be careful. There's a good possibility it's going to pinch, so we're going to try a wedging technique to eliminate the possibility of the chainsaw being jammed in there. And hopefully if we can get that out of the way, we just keep moving down, and hopefully we can make it to the open area later today. This technique simply involves cutting a wedge out of the area where the compression is. As you cut through from the opposite side, the hope is the gap will prevent the bar from being pinched. It works in most cases, but it depends a lot on the forces compressing the limb or trunk together. At the time, I wasn't entirely sure where the compression area was, so I notched the underside as well as the top. but normally in this scenario, it would be on the top. With the big trunk out of the way, we now needed to remove a couple more hanging trees that continued to pose risks.
Honey.
And actually, it held itself for a bit though.
I was like, oh my goodness. It held for quite a, like, it was very little holding it, eh?
Yeah. Well, I suggest we just keep cutting here, knock that part off, and then it's got more room to drop, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Ooh, you can still hear it moving.
Another handy tool I had was a cant hook with a stand. This allowed me to easily lift the log and buck it off the ground, protecting the chainsaw from hitting the dirt or rocks. With the toughest section now out of the way, all that was needed was to remove some smaller down trees that blocked access along the road. The end was finally in sight. We fell in love with our little Ryobi chainsaw. It was a workhorse in its own way and was quickly becoming an invaluable tool for clearing these down trees. Cutting this balsam fir tree down is a perfect example of the perplexity of the compression scenario. Normally in this situation, you would think the compression is at the bottom, as the tree is leaning down. This is why I first cut out a small wedge along the bottom, but it could also be at the top as the tree is being held up. This is also why I cut out a wedge on top too. The answer would soon be revealed, but most importantly, I kept my bar from getting stuck again. Still far from figuring everything out, but I was slowly getting the hang of it. And there you have it. The tree was held up, so the compression was indeed at the top. This tree was more obvious, as the compression was definitely at the bottom, so I cut a notch at the bottom first and cut down from the top. All that remained was cutting and clearing this last tree, and then we'd finally get access to the build site again. Okay, so after all that work, after 2 days, well, almost 2 days.
Almost.
We made it to our build site. Now, I don't know if it's hard to see, it's kind of blown out, but this is the open area. This is going to be our build site, and I'll show you more about it later. But the reason why we're desperate to get to it is because the grass and the shrub is growing really quickly, and if we wouldn't be able to get it, it would have been a lot taller, and it would have been very difficult to cut with a lawnmower. So that was our goal, and so we're gonna go have lunch, and after we're gonna come back and we're gonna cut this all down because we won't be here for like almost 3 weeks.
Yep.
So we need to get this done, and then afterwards we'll start working on the build.
We did it!
We did it!
We did it! Didn't think it was gonna happen, but we did it! Did you get it?
Oh, sun came up.
Husband killed by log.
I know.
You missed my playing with my little saw. That's pretty sad.
So I get the chainsaw.
Alright.
The real chainsaw.